Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Holton Jablonski, and welcome to the Samwise Yavoinski Story Pod. I'm here with Nate and with Sam on my team, and we're so grateful that you're here and so grateful to share some more stories with you. All right, well, let's just jump right in.
The King of All Hair. Last week, I woke up with a scare. I grew 33 inches of hair. My friends think it's cool. My parents don't care, but my teacher thought I was a bear. He jumped, he yelled, he rang the school bell, and I heard he drove off to Bel Air. He still hasn't returned. When he does, he will learn. I've been crowned the King of All Hair. The King of All Hair? Yes, I am aware of how silly this all may sound. But when life seems unfair and you feel underprepared, it's best to turn it around.
That's cool. I love that.
That's awesome.
It was fun writing that because it was a time when, again, I felt like I didn't have control of a situation. And a lot was kind of thrown on the family as well as myself. And it's like, what do you do when you feel overwhelmed? And it's like, control what you can, right? And in that story, I thought, like, how could we make it visually ridiculous? Like someone bearing on way more than they can handle. And so the idea of, 10-year-old growing a bunch of hair was like a beard made me laugh. And I said, that would be such a nightmare growing up, or like, at age 10 on with like, mountains of hair and just a big beard. So it was like, what would someone do in a situation like that? What could you control? And it's to celebrate it. It's to make it its a glorious thing, a glorious sight. And so you crown yourself the king of all hair in such a ridiculous, overwhelming situation. Yeah.
Well, I resonate with this on so many levels, especially as a impassionedly bearded human being and with a whole lot of hair. And yeah, with all three of my kids, it's been fascinating to watch them grow and support them and get to know them as they've become the people that they are. And it seems like so much of life and growing into yourself is being able to embrace who you are. And so much of the process of stepping into your own in school and kind of in your family and all these things, there's so many opportunities to doubt what you have to offer. And we keep talking, especially with my older kids, about just working what you got, like if that's who you are,
Yeah, that's the message of the story. That's life, right? Working
what you got.
Have.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's cool. That's what we should
great.
do.
Wonderful. All right, so as we do, in addition to sharing these stories, we're excited to have questions from the mailbag. So any of you listening, please send in any questions you like Nate and Sam and I to talk about. And you can email minister@uubelmont.org, and those will come in and we'll answer them here on the pod. But we have from my own daughter, Aaliyah, she asked rather insistently, more than a couple times, why do evergreen trees not die in winter?
I think I have the answer.
Perfect.
And if I'm wrong, Sam, please dig me out of this hole. Okay. But I think that with evergreens, they don't lose moisture like other trees, like an oak or a maple. And I think the reason why trees lose leaves is because they need to sustain water, right? And keeping the leaves on, the leaves will freeze and they'll make it so water itself won't be able to get into the roots. And so a tree like evergreen or pine, they lose very little moisture. They kind of like keep it all to themselves and they can preserve a very long time. They don't have to kind of lose the leaves to kind of sustain themselves through a really long, tough, cold winter. I think that's right.
That sounds
maybe I'm
right to
wrong.
me.
Okay.
Well,
We'll just say it's right.
I always thought they hibernated like bears, but maybe that's the
Yes.
wrong explanation. Actually, now I say that, it doesn't sound right. I think your explanation is the right one.
No. I think you're right because it kind of holds on to its water. It doesn't lose it.
Mm.
And like with a bear who kind of fills up and then takes a nap, that kind of, I think, resonates. Yeah. It correlates. I see it.
And I think I would only add, and not to be too preacherly, but I've been thinking about this a lot in this period of time of the church too, in that, with all the trees having lost their leaves, or most of the trees having lost their leaves, and we think of the tree almost looks like it's dying, but instead it's growing the roots, right? Like so much of the energy, so much of the motion, so much of the life force is reaching down and creating firm foundation for the growth that we'll see in just a couple months when the springtime comes. But, for now, there's this other kind of growth happening in this deepening. And that feels somewhat like what is happening with us, in that, so many of the outward manifestations of, like we're not coming to church on Sundays right now, and pretty soon we'll be coming back in different ways, but there's all this other growth and all this other deepening happening. And so I think even the trees that might seem like they're dying are just growing in different ways. I mean, sometimes they actually die, but so much of winter is about deepening and nourishing. So yeah, no question too scientific. Let her rip. So send us anything to minister@uubelmont.org, and we'll be sure to answer your questions here on the pod. But we're so grateful for our stories, so grateful for all of you listening, for all of your families, for this community that we're building. And especially now in this time, know that you're not alone, know that you're held in community, and that we're going to make it through all this together. So thanks so much for listening, and thanks for all the hair and all the story. All right. Bye.
You're welcome.
Bye.